Hey everybody, you know who this is. Jerome, BFAM Cooking. That's right, your favorite contestant on Favorite Chefs. This is what we're trying to do today. Today I'm going to go back to the basics. I'm going to show you guys some of the basic knife techniques that you need to know. How to properly chop, how to hold your knife, how to cut certain vegetables. It's important that you know how to chop, how to slice, how to cut your vegetables so that they are consistent or as close as consistent in size so that you can cook them evenly. The size is what matters, and soon you'll know how to do it too safely. Today's episode, we're going to start with a paper towel. What you need to do is you need to wet that paper towel through a chopping board on top. Now, I like soft chopping boards, ones that are natural, or you can use the one that does not take any of the little guys, the bad guys that you don't want in your food. No bacteria. You want to get away from the non-bacterial ones are really nice. Some of them are color-coded, so in a real restaurant, they might have a green one for vegetables, a red one for meat, a white one for fish, right? I have a huge one, 16 by 9, because I don't got that much storage space. I don't know about you guys, but I do have a couple of wooden ones that we keep up that are not too distracting. And if you saw my episode on new chopping boards that I got, new cutting boards I got one in for Made In with my name on it. But today, we're just going to use our old traditional one. And for safety stabilization, we're going to wet us a nice little board, cut all of our vegetables right on here, and do a demo. Back to basics. We got this in from Meeson, and it is a beautiful, beautiful chef's knife. It is one of the products that I hope that you all take the time to invest in. It's going to make your cooking better. Meeson, as you can see, put a little bit of time into the design. Wow, what is this? Better tools for better cooking. I believe I said something like that someplace. I won't get it. But anyway, inside the box we got a beautiful knife. Looks sort of like this with a cover. What is that on there? Oh, I got to read here. Right-handed, left-handed, do's and don'ts. Oh, okay. Well, anyway, comes in a box, looks like this. You know, when you're talking about a good knife, you should be looking at a couple of items. One is that it fits your hand. Now this is a good knife. I have a drawer full of knives back here, you know, that we got over the years, and it's just a drawer that has a bunch of different knives. This one is really nice. Sharp, it's affordable, it's going to do what you need it to do when you need it to do it. So, what do I mean by that? This knife, you should be able to hold the knife pretty well. It's got a nice blade, it doesn't interfere with your touching and getting the proper grip. What is the proper grip? You're gonna place your thumb, boom, like right next to the name. You can almost see where it goes, locking it for you. The grip. Generally what you want to use is this pointer finger knuckle as a guide so you don't lose it. Then you have that second finger over there and the thumb to guide your product. So you're going to put that thumb down thing and you grab it, put it right against there, and it's going to be curled in slightly so you can just go to town all day long. Whatever you want in there. Start by placing a wet paper towel. I use like 3 pieces of paper towel, ones that are cut in, well, 3 pieces of paper towel. Take your board, place it right on top, nice and secure. Press it down, a little bit of the water will scooch out. That's okay. That adds that suction to it. So it won't turn as easily. It'll take a lot more force. I use several knives. Some of them are not cheap, but these are mid-range knives only. So this is the Wusthof 10-inch chef's knife. It has nothing to do with it's how you feel about the knife itself. You know, the size does not really matter. It's your comfort. So you should go, if you're looking for a knife, you should go to the knife store or the kitchen store or wherever, and you should take it in your hand and hold it and see how it feels. It's sort of like if you were a baseball player, you would swing the bat a couple of times to see if that's the right one for you. No different than that. You want to get comfortable with your knife. Now, to tell you again, we only need 3 knives. You need chef's knife, or a shorter one. You need a paring knife, and you need a serrated. You don't have to go crazy. I think this one was like 24 bucks, right? And I think this one we're given one. But you need a good paring knife. I have ones that match these. I just grabbed this one, right? These are all knives in which you can use, which you only need. These are the ones that you only need. So the chef's knife, which are these two, normally 7, 8, and 10 inches. A paring knife, small for delicate stuff, like small delicate stuff, like you want to get the stem out of strawberry, or you want to take the little eyes off of potatoes, stuff like that. You can use that. And then of course, a serrated knife. I would suggest that you don't spend a lot of money on serrated knives. The reason why is serrated knives lose their sharpness over time. And you cannot, no electric sharpener that we commercially own, the regular house people, house chefs own, will sharpen this. So I would suggest that you don't pay a lot of money for it. Get one that's reasonable handle. Use it for like maybe 2 years, and then you get rid of it because you can't sharpen it. Unless you get, what's that company? I don't even know the company. But they say they sharpen them. I would actually guess they don't sharpen them. They probably just remelt the metal down and then give you a new one. But you want to deal with this. This is great. This is basically for like bread or stuff you need to saw through. This is not a sawing through knife, right? If you want to get an expanded version of knives, you probably want to get a butcher's knife, which is flexible, right? I have one of those. Or it also would work for doing fish and stuff like that. But in general, for 95% of the cutting, these are the knives that you're going to want to invest in, right? Especially the chef knife. Chef knife is the knife that you'll be using 95% of the time. The other ones are smaller percentages, as you can guess. All right, probably 95, and this is probably 3. This is probably 1, and the rest are like 0.000 something or other to mix them all up. So just invest your money in chef's knife first and foremost. The difference between some of the knives are whether they're Western made or Eastern made, and what does that mean to you? Most of the knives you buy in the United States are beveled at 17, 20 inches or so, 20 degrees or so. If you're going with a Eastern knife, you're going with 15 degrees. Eastern, Western, Western. Okay, Western is 17. Eastern, it happens to be 15. All right, between 17 and 20. Let's start with the carrot. You know, little carrot. These are little baby organic carrots. The only reason I got them with the stems on because I think they look impressive, right? You want to basically keep the idea here of cutting for chefs is to control the cooking time. You know that if one is done, the rest are going to be done. So if you have them in some are small, some are large, you may have the small ones and they'll be completely done, and the large ones still need more cooking time. That's a problem because what are you going to pick out each one of the little pieces? No. So you need to buy things in shapes or make them into shapes that will cook evenly. In our particular case, this happens to have a top on it. So the first thing you want to do is you want to learn about that claw. First thing you want to do is you want to learn about the claw. Now again, the claw happens to be using 1, your thumb, 2, the pointer finger, and 3, the secondary finger. Okay? So you're gonna make it sort of like this. Hi, get that in there, the claw. Anyway, that is to stabilize your food. The 1, tucked in, pointer finger, stable is the thumb, stable is the thumb. 3-legged tripod, like a camera tripod. Very, very stable. Triangles are stable, it's mathematical. Go ahead and knock that first piece off. Now notice, I pull it back and I push it forward. And it comes clean. If it doesn't come clean like that for you through a carrot, your knife's not sharp. You need to sharpen your knives. Now, why do I say you need to sharpen your knife? Because the sharpener knife, 1, it's easier to cut things, and 2, will help you to prevent stuff like if you're cutting onions, which we'll be doing also as a basic demonstration. We'll talk about the onion later when we get to an onion. But anyway, we're going to do rounds on this carrot, and let's just cut a couple of rounds. So again, thumb, pointer finger, tucked in, and then grab the product. So here we go, right across. Keeping the point down, you can continue to cut right down and know exactly where you're at with the cut. It's going to give you consistent cuts all the way down to the bottom. Now, in my particular case, I know what I'm doing with this. I'm making a puree later. Carrots are about equal thickness. That's what you want. You can feel that, or size. I'm going to use those things in a puree. For some cauliflower puree, those will be the base on the floor. And let's just grab something, put it in. Boom. That's how you cut carrots. Now generally, you see these dirty ends here, you would use the paring knife to scrape and clean that off if you wanted. I'm just going to chop it off because I don't need it. I don't need that end. Let's get here. Do a couple at a time. Level them off. Boom, boom. There they go. A couple at a time. Look at that. Beautiful. Now we got product that we can manage. I am not shaving these carrots. I'm not peeling them because we're going to put them in a puree so the texture on the outside doesn't need to throw away all the goodness, the flavor of the carrot. Sounds weird, but that's true. I'm going to take 2 carrots at a time. And these particular carrots are so small, so thin, that I'm making rounds, right? Rounds are where there's little discs. And as you can see, as you go through this, you're going to get them all the same size. Trying to use the back of the knife as a scraper, bench scraper. Carrot starter for carrot puree. As you can see, they're all nice and cut pretty well. Cut reasonably even, not too big, not too small from actual size. And that's cutting carrot rounds. Zaw pepper, zaw green pepper to be exact. Some people have problems cutting this with a big knife or a knife. Let me show you how I do it. Choose to do it or not, it's up to you. Generally, you want to start out with getting the seeds and stuff out. Some people cut rounds. We've already cut rounds on a carrot, so you pretty much know how to do that. But let's get the basics done for this. So generally, I do with a pepper is I hit the bottom first, cut that clean off. Look at that, and then you can pretty much reach in there and grab out that middle, and you can literally set that aside. And then of course you have its friend, the top, which has that whole mechanism in there. Look at that thing in there. You can reach in there and grab that right out, nice and simple. That's all good. Set it aside, set it aside. Now you can use that for soups or whatever. And what I like to do is cut straight down one side and then lay it out flat. Now why do I do that? Because I want to be able to press and cut that membrane off. Look at that, nice and press and cut the membrane right off. and press and cut the membrane right off. Look at that. That's compost. That's growing season next year, whatever you want to call it. Okay, and for now I can just leave it. It broke pretty much apart, so you can just cut right along there. That's good. And now you want to cut them into strips, I guess. We'll do strips. Same grip is happening here to hold the material. You just move the knife along, and we have strips. Okay. And I'm gonna cut the rest, lay them on top, move that off to the side. Let's cut some strips the other way. Strips, okay. I'm just gonna take some. All right, so we got strips on some, and then of course some of you might need this stuff for, I don't know, a soup recipe or go on top of a pizza. So you probably want something like dice, right? So why don't we take a few of these little babies right here. The strips, so you've made strips, level them all off, hold the grip, and then you're gonna make dice. You're gonna just travel it right down. Or, woohoo, look how even those all are. You want to get it to be this consistent on the regular. That's what green peppers should look like diced. This is a large dice. Alrighty. Here we have an onion that we need to cut. Now everybody's gonna say, all right, Jerome, I know that if I cut an onion, a nice fragrant yellow onion like this, we're gonna run into a problem where I'll be crying all over the place. Now I've heard other shows talk about a lot of things that make onions, not mess up your eyes. So I'm gonna tell you the secret, something I learned at a culinary class when I learned how to cut. The secret is cutting onions has to do with the knife. The knife needs to be sharp. You need to sharpen your knife. Okay, so you must sharpen your knife. Now this is an onion that I bought for cutting for this thing. When I say that I bought for cutting, I mean that I bought a couple extra onions that I'm gonna cut that I may use for something else. So it looks like it got a little bad spot on it. I'm gonna cut that off first. In general, you have a top of the onion. This is where it grows above ground, and you have a bottom, which is a little hairy part, right? You're going to want to cut it north to south or top to bottom, right? Top to bottom. So take it. So you need an area that's flat. Cut it straight across. It's top to bottom, from the north pole to the south pole. Okay, and then flip it on its flat side. You're gonna cut the top off, the part that grows out from the ground up. Cut that off. You're gonna leave the hairy part. Leave the hairy part. It's going to hold the onion together for you. It's going to hold the onion together for you. Do not cut the hairy part. Do not cut the hairy part. Okay. Then after you've cut the top off, you're going to peel off generally the first layer. I generally peel off the first layer. And in my case, I'm going to peel off the second layer too, because like I said, this onion was on its way out. Okay, peel it all the way back to the hairy part. Leave the hairy part alone. Okay, I'm going to get rid of that. Because you don't need it in your way. You can throw it in your garbage bowl if you have a garbage bowl out, but as you can see, I do not have a garbage bowl out. And you want to get rid of all the extra little nonsense that's in your way that you don't want on your dinner plate. You don't want it on your dinner plate, so you don't want it on the cutting board. Okay? Let's get rid of that. The most common way of cutting an onion is to dice it. So it should be none of this little slippery stuff you want on there. Just pull that back. Let's get rid of that. Is to dice it. To dice it, you must slice it first, just like we did with the pepper in the previous Back to Basics. Take the knife in your hand, thumb close to where the name would be, right in this little perfectly crafted groove. To get slices, you can go straight across. Right? Put your point down and go whoosh. That gives you your first slice. Whoosh. And again, you see I'm still using that claw and using my tucked in fingers to give you these slices. Look at that. Beautiful slices. Nice and even. Reasonably sized. Woo! All right. Okay, so those are all slices. Again, those will probably be used for like fajitas or whatever you want. That's need slices. Okay, now I don't say you need to cut all the way through to the number. What do you do with this? You can save it. You can use it for soup. You can use it for stock. In my particular case, I think my fingers are worth more than this little piece. So I'm going to get rid of it for right now, because you don't want to lose your fingers over a little bit of vegetable. Any part of my finger. All my fingers are more valuable than that. So that was a slice. Keep the bottom of the onion. Keep the bottom, the hairy side. Keep the hairy side. So what we're trying to do here is we're going to do what? Dices. Dices. With a dice, you don't need to do this. Well, I do it anyway. This is the way I was trained. So, a dice, you have half an onion sliced straight through from the top to bottom, leaving the bottom. You're going to hold your hand flat, tuck your thumb in, and you're going to cut in to the size that you want the height of the dice to be. Cut it in, and do it again for this size onion. And I'm only going to do two, and then turn the onion away from you. You're going to cut in to a certain level of the onion, cutting down. Again, cutting them, cutting them, cutting them, cutting them, not all the way through the onion, all the way through to the bottom, but not all the way to the top of, or in this case, the bottom. And then, of course, the last thing you need to do is slice like this. Look at that, perfect. So, you've sliced in across. Let's continue. You're going to put the knife point down and push through. Knife point down and push through. Knife point down and push through. Knife push down and push through. Look how beautiful this dice is. Medium dice. Look at that. When you get to a certain point, it becomes unruly. So what you need to do is flip it over on the flatter side where it has more stability, and then cut across it again with the claw. Your fingers are more important than the dice. Please remember that. This number is not worth a finger. But look at this dice you have here. Beautiful diced onion. This number is not worth a finger. And that's how you dice an onion. If you notice, no tears. Sharp knife, no tears. Sharp knife, no tears. I can't suggest it anymore to you, but that's how you make medium dice, small dice. You just have to decide what dice you want of onion with a good knife. This is a basic tip for you. Like, subscribe, share. BFAM Cooking.